Hello everyone, this is Margot Harder, and I am here today to go over my classroom management plan for EDCI 553. This was a pretty interesting exercise. I had a really good time with it. The more I got into it, the more I realized that I was starting to form my classroom tone, if you will, since it's a pretty new experience for me. I lack a lot of classroom experience. Actually, I even lack a little. I have yet to even student teach or sub, so this was kind of my first experience delving into what my classroom's going to be like, the tone of my teaching, my way of teaching, and it was a fun exercise for me. Um, I'm kind of gauging this entire presentation to probably freshman and sophomore biology or possibly eighth grade biology students. I um, I feel like they're probably closer to what my goal or my target age group is, so I decided to stick with that. We'll go ahead and just go through this, and I'll probably, as I go, ask a few questions of you, the reviewer, just for some input, because I feel like there is room, of course, for improvement. We'll go ahead and get started. The classroom mission is, of course, as Catherine has pointed out, very crucial to setting the tone and also to immediately start to engage your students and really have them understand where you're coming from and what type of class it's actually going to be. Um, you know, I I tried to base my mission off of my personal feeling for how humans just interact and should interact together, either whether it be in a workplace or a family or a classroom. I think that the classroom mission here just basically really focuses on the respect, mutual respect, encouragement and acceptance. Um, and also by not being too threatening, but also opening up some avenues for creativity and individuality, and just kind of setting the tone for being accepting and all the things I've already said already. Moving on, we're gonna go to our expectations and rules. Um, I tried to pare this down a little bit, but considering how important I feel like these are to be very clear and concise, I focused on three heading rules and expectations and just listed some examples of each that would be a good outline for the students to begin to follow. Considerate is one. I feel like being kind, being caring, all those things fall under being considerate. Um, and actually, being considerate also is kind of a blanket umbrella for the next two rules that I outline, which are honor the learning process and respecting property. Um, Basically, everything can go back to being considerate of myself, each other, themselves, the learning process, own self-respect, and all of those pretty inclusive terms. Um, I really wanted to make sure that I put in here too the appreciation that takes nerve to answer and ask questions. There are no dumb answers or questions. I really want my class to be pretty involved, as far as my students being involved, and I want them to feel comfortable speaking out and to raise questions and not to feel judged either by myself or by other students. And so I really want to, that's why I kind of led with consideration, just because self-respect and showing respect to others is key in just real life as opposed to just the classroom itself. Honor the learning process. You know, I kind of struggled with a way to word that. And again, it's another blanket term to be used for a lot of things, but it's also just to, again, show consideration and show respect for the reason why they're there in the classroom. And also why I'm there for them as well. They're all here in this cumulative group and this cooperative group of people that are here to help each other. and also to give themselves the best benefit and set themselves up to succeed, by turning assignments in on time, being prepared for tests and quizzes. Those things are pretty basic, but also kind of go back to that respect for the process, respect for their own learning, that I think is really important. Respect property seems like a given, but I think it's important to outline that as just a basic rule of the classroom. Especially in a biology classroom or chemistry classroom where you have a lot of equipment, a lot more materials that you're being kind of entrusting into the student's care. It's even more crucial to outline proper care and the expectation of taking care of their assigned materials. Um, Property can also be intellectual as well as physical. So I put this in here as a lead in to my cheating page. I want them to consider it a property and just kind of again use those blanketing rules like respect property to include intellectual property as well, so that it's a little bit more streamlined and less rules. Even though I have a lot on these slides, try to kind of keep linking them back to three principles that can apply to lots of different situations in the classroom. Um, our lead into the next slide is intellectual property and cheating. Um, I know a lot of times in science, particularly, and I have been guilty of it as well when I was younger in college, it's so easy to just copy and paste without any knowledge of having to cite. And so also not quite understanding what it was that plagiarism actually is. And including plagiarizing and copies, but also including cheating as being any time you steal work for personal gain that is not yours. This may be a little wordy, and I was just struggling for a creative way to somehow say that cheating is bad and what cheating is other than plagiarism. Kind of wanted to take a more of an empathetic outlook here to try to bring the students into a little bit different way of viewing cheating and taking information and knowledge from people without credit. OMG, the cell phone situation. I feel pretty strongly about this. I'm going to require cell phones to be placed in a filing system that's going to be right inside the door, and there won't be any incidents for any students to use phones within my biology class. I feel pretty strongly about this, and we'll have a take-home paper that will explain the rules and consequences of having it, and the fact that the consequence will be that I will be using it in a science experiment. So I feel pretty strongly about this and comfortable about this. If you guys have any insight on this, I'd appreciate it. Or if you think this is a wise idea or a little dangerous, I'd appreciate the feedback. I feel really strongly about making sure the students can expect very specific things from me. I think it's only fair if I expect things from them that they can expect things from me. I think this is a really important slide. I might even open up class discussion on this one at the same time. I got a little clever here, just a little bit. And this kind of mentions two things I'm going to have in my class that are a little bit different. I'm going to have a Jumpstart program written on the board, which is basically a Jumpstart program is going to be a question that students immediately come in, sit down, and start journaling on. I think it's important to include writing in science, and I think that's a good way to kind of jumpstart their brain for the science class. Also outlined is the daily learning goal, and that will be a big part of really making sure there's a set goal of learning achievement during the day, as well as making sure that we're linking and remembering past class learning goals and trying to just keep that big picture in mind. The body of the day is outlined here. Just kind of talk about group work and labs, the importance of kind of understanding the flow of the class during the meat of the class. The learning goal, again, the daily learning goal, I'm going to do another journal entry at the end of the day where they can sketch or list the main points of the lesson. Also writing down your evening assignment and making sure your lab and desk are clean. Just important housekeeping kind of things. Lab work and safety is another one I threw in here. Gonna overview the safety equipment and lab stuff and more in detail later, probably in the course and the introductory classes. But I wanted to make sure I included that in this kind of overview of the management plan and syllabus. Exam projects, deadlines, things like that. I'm going to have a reminder board placed actually 2 different locations in the classroom. And just to make sure that there's posting of rules, project information, safety information, things like that. Their go-to place where they can just run their eyes over every day to remind themselves of deadlines. Grades. I actually included this. I felt it was kind of important. I know that it's not necessarily a classroom management plan, but I wanted to outline how much weight participation and also what I'm calling a class citizen score actually has to their overall performance in the class. I'll be referencing the CCS, the class citizen score, later in my consequences, and thought it was important to just kind of outline that and the importance and the weight that it has in their overall grade. Natural occurrences, this is kind of a cute little interlude with just basic bathroom breaks, bathroom passes, water passes, my expectations for the maximum and minimums of those, with the cute little X, Y, and XX, getting kind of clever again. Should probably watch out. Unnatural occurrences, I know that lockdown and crisis situations school-wide are going to be pretty well known, and we will have to do special meetings and reviews on school policy with that kind of stuff. But I wanted to make sure we included lab procedures and breakdowns and shutdowns when we had fire alarm or drill or lockdown crisis, the different steps that are really crucial in a lab situation to make sure that are taken care of, like turning off gas burners and stuff like that. Now let's talk about the equal reaction from me for consequences. I just kind of wanted to outline that, this slide is pretty much to remind them that they're in control of their own actions, and actions will have a reaction from me, but that it doesn't necessarily have to be negative or positive. Here I have my positive behavior. I thought it was important to list this first. And here I reference my class citizen score, as well as being able to get the most out of the class, and the positives that will happen. With both my positive and negatives, I have included kind of a class poll on this. I want to get them involved, and I would love to have them add at least 1 or 2 results or consequences for positive and negative behavior. Negative behavior, I've outlined kind of a first, second, third, fourth, kind of fourth strikes kind of situation, but I would really, really appreciate some of the more seasoned teachers to give some feedback on this. Again, I just am not speaking from a lot of experience and not sure entirely of the effectiveness of this hierarchical pattern here that I've created. My main plan of action, of course, is to do preschool year work, contacting the student households as outlined in the text and by Catherine is very important. And also just make sure that the classroom mirrors the procedures and expectations that I've outlined in the CMP. Of course, discussing my classroom management plan with other teachers and administration, incorporate their input is really important. I want to make sure that my administration is on point with my my negative consequence plan and that they're supportive of that, and I'm sure that they'll have some input that's really positive. Overall, I would like to maintain that this is a work in progress, and as I mentioned here, I think I want to check class performance with the CMP on a monthly basis, and is it working, what needs to be changed. Of course, it's kind of like a living thing. It's going to change with the classes and also the students within the class, depending on the year and the class and the ages. But Any other advice from any seasoned or unseasoned teachers that have any comments on the layout and the content, it would be much appreciated. Thank you very much.